Garrett stood in line like everyone else, gray suit, soft leather briefcase. 1,000-yard eyes from too many red eyes in boardrooms. But when he reached the counter at First Republic Branch on Fulton Street, the teller didn't even glance up. She took one look at his ID, smirked, and tossed it back across the glass. It landed face down. A pause, not long, but long enough to end $3 billion. That's the moment no one talks about. Because what happened next wasn't on the news. There was no lawsuit, no viral hashtag, no press conference outside a courthouse. Garrett didn't raise his voice. He didn't demand the manager. He didn't pick the ID back up. He just stared at her, something behind his eyes, folding in on itself, and walked out. No words, not one. And the deal, the generational deal, the one with clean energy tech, the Saudi contracts, the congressional backing, died in silence the same afternoon. Now, here's what they won't tell you. The security footage for that day was overwritten. Exactly 12 hours later, standard policy, they said. But one intern from the back office, Hannah Kepler, claims she saw the footage before it vanished. Not the whole thing, just a flash of it. Garrett stepping away from the counter, but his reflection stayed behind. It blinked after he turned. She doesn't talk about it anymore. In fact, she doesn't talk at all. Moved out of state, deleted everything. What you're about to see, no one else has. This file wasn't leaked. It was found in the draft folder of a decommissioned FDIC server buried in a legacy system no one was supposed to access. It doesn't have a name, just a timestamp: 3:17 p.m., September 6. File opens with a still image, grainy, almost like static, of the bank teller leaning forward, eyes wide, as if she's listening to something we can't hear. Her mouth is open, like she's about to say something, but the audio cuts off. Then a voice, not hers, not Garrett's, comes through. Not a whisper, a name. Evelyn. A child's voice. Clear, young, male, but there were no children in that building, no clients under 18 on file. The lobby was almost empty. Evelyn is not the teller's name. Not Garrett's assistant, not any relative in his life. But it is the name of someone else. Someone who died in a house fire outside Boise in 1994. And here's the thing, that fire, that house, the boy who perished in it, he had a birthmark on his left shoulder, shaped exactly like the First Republic logo. The bank rebranded in 1995. You may feel the pull to look away now. That's normal. Your brain is trying to protect you. But ask yourself, what kind of man walks away from billions without a word? What would make a person undo everything they built over a single glance, a single sound? And why, when the vault was audited that night, were 6 safety deposit boxes found open, all empty, all registered to people who died decades ago? This isn't about banking. This is about whatever Garrett saw when she tossed his ID. Why he never came home, because 5 days later, a baby was born in Michigan. He hasn't opened his eyes since birth. Doesn't cry, doesn't eat. But every time someone enters the NICU room, his lips move. And last night, one of the nurses swears he mouthed the name, Garrett. The name shouldn't have meant anything in that hospital. Not to a newborn sealed in sterile glass, surrounded by wires and quiet monitors. Not to a nurse on her 4th night shift who had never stepped foot outside of Saginaw County. And yet, it spread like static through the neonatal ward, first in a whisper, then in a silence that pulled too hard, like the room itself was holding its breath. The nurse, Kara, said she didn't imagine it. Said the baby's lips moved. Said it was too slow to be a twitch. Too deliberate. She told the attending. The attending never filed a report, but his last note in the logbook scrawled shocky was one word. Again, this is where everything should have unraveled. Where Garrett's story should have stayed a metaphor for something else. Burnout, racial profiling, a private grief dressed up in public collapse. But that would have been easier, cleaner. Instead, what happened next collapsed all of that. It began with a voicemail, left on Hannah Kepler's disconnected line, time-stamped 2:08 a.m. The message was only 2 seconds long, just a breath. Like someone startled to find the line open. Audio engineers pulled it apart 6 ways, and what they found buried deep in the spectrogram still doesn't have a name. It wasn't a voice. Not in any human way. But the closest frequency map matched human screaming recorded backward at subharmonic levels, the kind used in some Department of Defense simulations to trigger unease. A researcher listening to it in isolation asked to leave the room halfway through. He reported nausea, blurred vision, a sense that someone had been standing behind him, even when the lab was empty. That would be strange enough. But Hannah never gave out her home number, and the voicemail wasn't sent from a phone. It was generated by the ATM system at the Fulton Street branch. There's no protocol that allows that. Which is when the questions stopped being rhetorical. They brought in a profiler. Former FBI, left under circumstances no one would clarify. Her name was Meredith Glass. Not a household name, but the kind of person whispered about in declassified forums, in threads that always end in deletion. She interviewed the bank teller, Jessica Barnes, 33. No criminal history, no priors. Church choir volunteer, former foster child. Jessica hadn't spoken a word since the incident, not to the branch manager, not to the lawyers, not to her own family. They said she was traumatized. But Meredith said something else after 10 minutes. Alone in the observation room, she's not mute, she's waiting. Waiting for what? They asked. Meredith didn't answer. But that night, she burned her notes. Here's the part that no one can explain, not even the people inside it. 2 weeks after the Fulton Street event, Garrett's phone pinged in Utah. Not in a city, in the middle of an abandoned military test range. Satellite views showed a flat desert scrubland. No roads, no buildings. But locals in nearby Fillmore reported flickering lights and a low, throbbing sound just after midnight that same day. No earthquakes, no electrical testing on record. Just a single 911 call from a woman with no name who whispered, * he brought something back with him. * they traced the call. Nothing there. No landline, no cell tower connection. Just dead air. But the time code matched exactly with a silent alert from the NICU in Michigan. The baby's heart monitor flatlined for 2 minutes, then spiked back up as if nothing happened. Except now, he was blinking. Garrett's mother was the only person who ever spoke publicly. Once, in a grainy church basement community meeting caught on a local live stream with 12 viewers, she said Garrett hadn't been the same since college, that he sometimes forgot things he shouldn't forget: his sister's name, his apartment number, once even how to tie a tie. But it wasn't like Alzheimer's, she said. It was selective, specific, like something was editing his mind. In real time, she said he came home one summer with a shoebox full of cassette tapes, labeled only by dates, no names. She wasn't allowed to listen to them. Not until one day she did, after he moved out. And what she heard wasn't music. It was silence. At first, then laughter. Children laughing. Then a voice: a man's, maybe Garrett's, maybe not, saying, * this time, I won't forget you. * the tapes vanished after that. So did the shoebox. Meredith found something. Or maybe it found her. She checked herself into a private inpatient clinic in Montana under a pseudonym. 5 days later, she mailed a small padded envelope to an address in New York. A conspiracy archivist named Theo Rutnals, known for investigating real unsolved mysteries buried in corporate NDAs and privatized databases. Theo opened the package. During a live stream, he never said what was inside, just held it up to the camera, expression unreadable, then ended the stream early. His next upload was 3 seconds long, a video of his apartment wall, shaking slightly, and the caption, * what they don't want you to remember. * that was 6 months ago. Theo's channel hasn't been updated since. The second character, you were expecting him by now. His name is Callum. He's not reliable, but he's not lying either. He says he worked with Garrett back in 2012 on a project called OBEX, an internal AI initiative to map behavioral prediction through banking patterns. Callum says it was never about finance, it was about psychographic mining. Not what people bought, but what they feared, who they didn't talk to anymore, what recurring dates they failed to remember, how often they walked into a room and stopped like they'd forgotten why they came. He said Garrett had a theory, one he never put in writing. * we're all being tuned, like frequencies. Some people slip out of range. The system doesn't delete them, it forgets they existed. * at first, Callum sounded lucid. But then he started sending emails with lines missing, not typos. Entire sentences scrubbed out, replaced with underscores. He kept referring to things underneath the transactions. One file he sent had no attachment, just a subject line. ***, they're not ghosts, they're repurposed. ***. The next day, he went off-grid. When they searched his apartment, they found something carved into the floorboards beneath his mattress. Over and over, same phrase. ***, I remember Garrett. Do you? ***, and now, you start to doubt. You rewind. The footage, the bank security camera. Why was the angle wrong? Why does the timecode glitch every 1.7 seconds, like a skipped beat? Why does the reflection blink before Garrett turns away? You start noticing things in your own life. The coffee shop, you swear, used to be on 8th Street. The breakthrough came when Meredith hacked the OBEX server tree, still mirrored deep in a defunct subdomain. She expected data meals, logs, time-stamped entries. What she found was worse. She found audio, not surveillance, not interviews, not even code. Just the same 2-minute file, repeated endlessly under different names. Each version slightly degraded, slowed, then pitched upward, like a scream in reverse. But all of them ended the same way. A child's voice, distorted, whispering, ***, do you remember the first time you were forgotten? ***, that's when it clicked for her. Garrett hadn't been lost. He hadn't been abducted or erased. He'd been looped, a psychological suspension of EMTA. Closed memory circuit triggered by a specific set of cues. OBEX had been testing it on high-stressed individuals, veterans, foster kids, Trauma survivors, people whose sense of time had already been fractured. Meredith had seen the theory before, buried in a declassified DARPA draft. Narrative through emotional resonance triggers. The more a person tried to reconstruct their own memory, the more unstable it became. Until the brain defaulted to protective deletion, a safe house inside the mind, the room where they forget you. She had her answer. It was almost elegant in its cruelty. Garrett had walked into a pre-coded trigger, a phrase, a glance, a sound, and his mind had folded inward. The bank teller hadn't ignored him. She'd been a failsafe, a visual cue. The reflection in the glass, a playback artifact. She'd finally solved it. The voices, the disappearances, the vanishing tape archives, it was all tied to one system. One test. She uploaded her report, closed her laptop, and went to sleep for the first time in days. But when she woke up the next morning, the world had shifted. Because the photo was gone. Not misplaced. Gone. The folder too. The seat of the car was clean, almost too clean. She checked her uploads. Her report had never sent. The file directory was empty. Her browser history was scrubbed. Her desktop background was blank. And then she noticed the voicemail icon on her phone. She hadn't given her number to anyone in the last 48 hours. The message was 6 seconds long. Just a child's voice again, whispering, ***, you were supposed to stop here, ***. A cold, sick panic crept into her lungs. She'd been so sure, so certain she'd traced the system to its origin, that the OBEX trials had been the beginning. But what if they weren't? What if OBEX didn't build the loop? What if it found it? Because when she searched government archive backup scraping data from microfilm libraries and unindexed collections, she found an incident in 1964. A man in Chicago who entered a savings and loan branch, stood at the counter, and then froze. For 6 minutes without speaking. The teller, a woman named Grace Holloway, had tried to ask him questions, but he didn't respond. His breathing was normal, eyes tracking, but something had hollowed him out. When police arrived, he finally spoke. Just one word. Again. He collapsed and died before EMS arrived. Autopsy, inconclusive. The bank closed 6 months later. Same logo, different name. That's when Meredith remembered something. She had seen Garrett before, not in person, in footage. A bureau clip from a government training exercise in 2014. He was in the background, standing to still, face to calm, wearing the same gray suit, watching something off camera with the focus of someone trying to remember a dream. But that wasn't the twist. The twist was that she had used that same footage in a lecture she gave 5 years ago on trauma theory, on memory fragility. She'd seen his face before the incident. She'd shown it to students, but she had never connected it, never remembered, because she had been tuned, just like him, just like you. And that's when the memory came. It slammed through her like a cold wind in the bones. She was 8, sitting in a small clinic in Ohio, a doctor asking her strange questions, repeating them, asking again, then again, a tone playing in the background, low, uncomfortable. Her mother beside her, but silent as still. She remembered. A shape on the wall, a red door, drawn in marker. A post-it note pinned beside it with one word. Retrace. She had forgotten this for 30 years. Until now, and when she looked at her childhood medical file, scanned and uploaded by a cousin to years ago, there it was again. Patient, entered retrace phase. Recommend loop, delay reset, T plus 18 years. She wasn't solving anything. She was returning. The entire story had been a script, a looped pattern, a map not of Garrett's disappearance, but her own forgotten re-entry into the system. Which means the photograph wasn't a lead. It was a cue. The voicemail wasn't a warning. It was a timestamp. And the second child blinking in the NICU, that wasn't a birth. That was a reboot. There's something else. The footage from the bank. It's been watched millions of times now. Reposted, analyzed, picked apart. But there's one frame no one caught. Not until this week. In the reflection, just before Garrett turns away, there's a shape behind him, too tall, slightly blurred, wearing a suit, no face. And if you brighten the frame, if you adjust the contrast, you'll see Meredith. Standing beside him. Smiling. Twist. She never existed. Search her credentials. The FBI has no record. Her lectures don't show up on university transcripts. Her voice prints don't match any known biometric. But one thing does match. In the OBEX prototype simulation from 2012, there was a fail-safe character model named M. Glass, used as a decoy to give subjects the illusion of resolution. False ending. So now, go back, watch everything again. What you thought was the story's beginning was the first memory glitch, and what they don't want you to remember. You already lived through this. You're not crazy. They lied to you. There were never supposed to be others. That was the lie. The first one, the comfort baked into every breadcrumb of this story garrote. The bank, the baby, the red door. Each thread stitched into a clean narrative. A man collapses under invisible pressure. One witness breaks, another goes missing, a third connects the dots and ends up disappearing into her own unraveling. A closed loop, a story you could walk away from, but the loop is bleeding now, not just in time, but in reach, because the story isn't staying where it was told, and people are beginning to remember. It started small, a message buried in a comment thread of a defunct discussion board that only indexed posts before 2004. The thread was about electrical blackouts in Cleveland, but one user, no avatar, no history, posted 6 words that had no context. Asterisk, asterisk, don't follow the red hallway lights. Asterisk, asterisk, a week later, another appeared in a Substack newsletter about Cold War surveillance programs, not in the main text, but embedded in the alt text of an image, a pixelated photo of an abandoned control room. If you ran a script to pull the metadata, it whispered, asterisk, asterisk, you were right all along. Asterisk, asterisk, most people never saw these, but some did. The ones who remembered the missing files, the skip in the broadcast, the déjà vu, so thick it felt like nausea. They didn't come forward, not publicly, not online. But they found each other in other ways, in symbols, in static, in shared dreams where they all walked the same hallway and couldn't remember what was at the end. Some woke up crying. Others woke up speaking a name they didn't recognize until later. Meredith, Garrett, Callum, sometimes. The name was their own. The emails started next. Hundreds of them. From different domains, different senders, but all saying variations of the same thing. Asterisk, asterisk, we saw it too. Asterisk, asterisk, a teacher in rural Montana said she caught a frame of Garrett's face on a paused instructional DVD from 2008. Not a glitch. Asterisk, asterisk, his exact face. Asterisk, asterisk, same suit, same glassy stare. But the video was supposed to be from a conference recorded in '03. She watched it again the next day. He was gone, replaced by another speaker. But the timestamps were untouched. A subway maintenance worker in D.C. claimed he found a piece of notebook paper folded behind a bolted access panel. It was dry despite the humidity. Handwritten in red ink was a string of symbols, glyphs that resembled letters, but not in any alphabet he recognized. Underneath, asterisk, asterisk, if you're reading this, it's not watching you. Asterisk, asterisk, a child in a Denver charter school handed his teacher a drawing during recess. It showed a person standing inside a room with no windows. On the wall, a mirror with nothing reflected in it. At the bottom, he wrote, asterisk, asterisk, they put me back wrong. Asterisk, asterisk, the observers call themselves receivers. They didn't choose the name. It appeared in their heads one day, the same way the dreams started. It's not a group, not a movement. There are no leaders, no forum. They don't share passwords. They just know. When you see one, you feel it. Like a memory trying to surface. Like a thought you forgot, mid-sentence. They leave each other signs, chalk markings behind dumpsters. Spirals drawn on bus maps. A specific pause in a sentence that means, I know what you lost. If you've ever walked into a room and suddenly felt like you were being watched from inside your own body, you've already met one. Garrett isn't the anomaly anymore. He's the entry point. The first breach you could track with timestamps and receipts. But he wasn't the beginning. Found footage from 20 years ago. Shows a boy named Marcus Aldridge walking out of his home in Yonkers. He never came back. But the video, filmed on a grainy high-8 camcorder left running in his kitchen, captures something else. A man standing across the street, tall, still, wearing a gray suit, his face obscured by motion blur. When digital specialists scrubbed the footage, trying to clarify the image, the face came into focus for one frame. It was Garrett. No one knows his real name. He appears on old call-in radio archives, buried episodes of Late Night AM. Conspiracy shows pulled from cassette rips uploaded by archivists who never reveal where they got them. His voice is calm, quiet, not like a host, like someone whispering over your shoulder in the dark. He never introduces himself, but he always begins the same way. Asterisk, asterisk, you're not crazy. They lied to you. Asterisk, asterisk, in one episode from 2002, he describes a test site buried beneath a commuter mall in Maryland, a structure beneath the foundation older than the mall itself. A room with no lights, just flickering televisions playing moments from people's lives they hadn't lived yet. He says the test was never to change memory, but to delay it, to fragment it, to store it for later use. In another tape from 2006, he says the mirror test failed. That reflections stopped matching their sources. That identities were bleeding. He says, asterisk, asterisk, it's not a loop, it's a rerun, but we're all playing the wrong parts. Asterisk, asterisk, and then the call cuts out. But the recordings always end the same way, static. Then a single phrase, distorted through whatever broadcast filter they used. Asterisk, asterisk, retrace, protocol, active. Asterisk, asterisk, this isn't paranoia, this isn't madness. Is the hidden truth they never declassified? Garrett wasn't the subject. He was the trigger, the activation phrase. The first visible proof that the reruns were sinking. He saw something in that bank, something not in this world. Or maybe not of this world anymore, a rupture, a hole in the narrative. One glance, and it pulled the others forward. Like pressure behind glass finally giving way. And now it's happening everywhere. People who've never met using the same phrases in sleep. Identical strangers appearing on traffic cams in different cities. In reflections, voicemails with no audio, just the sound of breath. Shared memories with people you've never known. Identity is not. Memory is not control. Control is not consent. You think you know who you are because the pattern tells you, some morning alarm. Job title, coffee order, birthday, but that's the overlay. The burn-in beneath it. You're remembering something you were made to forget, and now it's bleeding through. Receivers say, it's because the loop is full, the system overloaded, the memory storage saturated. And the third perspective, the one whispering through static, he says it plain. Asterisk, the rerun can't play if everyone remembers the original episode. Asterisk, there are others now. Too many. Too aware. And something is watching them, not through cameras, not through eyes. Through pattern deviation, through failed loops, through language breaks. It doesn't need a name, it is the name. It's what's left when you strip away your story and find a room made of every moment you ever misremembered. It doesn't hurt you. Not at first. It lets you dig. Lets you think you're close. It lets you breathe in the comfort of almost understanding. And then it takes one thing, your voice in a memory. The way your hand fits a key. The name of someone you swore was real and replaces it with silence. Until all you can say is, asterisk, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Asterisk, you are not the only one. You were never the only one. And if you're still reading this, it's already begun. You feel it, don't you? That moment of delay between thought and speech. The dream you had last night. Asterisk, wasn't it a hallway? Asterisk, the number written on that old receipt that looks like a date. The news article you swore you read but can't find now. This isn't fiction. It's a transmission, a retrieval signal. Retrace. They didn't tell you the truth, but you were right all along, and they're still watching, because one by one, you're all remembering, and the rerun is starting to glitch.